if you look at sort of ChatGPT, the power core, the superpower of ChatGPT is actually creation.
Yeah.
It is so good at creating content, right? It's better at creation than research because the research aspect requires a lot more of a real-time index. That good research for a lot of categories of research, whether it's even if you have this question, we were playing with a lot of because we look at our data cube, which looks across all these different keywords and topics, and then we look at this across these different engines. And so one example is if you just ask a question like, what's the interest rate, right? Everybody wants like, right?
Yeah.
What's the inflation? What's the interest rate? That you need real-time information. You like that. The moment it gets published, you want to have that information, right? You can't have a stale index for that. The moment you want to know, hey, where should I go to grab a good burger right now? You need like real-time information, right? So there's certain use cases that in search require that real-time information. And then, so research is definitely one of those things in a lot of categories. Whereas ChatGPT creation is amazing, like, and it's getting better and better and better at creation, right? So I think there's these different categories of use cases where each of these models will actually kind of have core differentiated capabilities. So that's one part, is the model. The other piece that's playing out that I think is sort of this battle that's super interesting is these frontiers of kind of what I think of like prime real estate of information, right? So if you look at sort of the Reddit, the Reddit filing when they went public, they had a $200 million 3-year deal.
Yes.
That's like a brand new revenue stream,
Yep.
right? By licensing their data
Yeah.
to train
Yeah.
the LLMs. Well, who's licensing it? Well, it's going to be people like companies like Google, right? So the other battleground that's happening right now is who has access to some of this curated, high quality, live kind of training
Yeah.
sort of data and information. That aspect is going to be another sort of important part of the battleground as well. And so we have this thing where we built this technology in our labs called the BrightEdge Generative Parser. So what it's doing is it's in the past it used to be, we had parsers that would do just kind of parse through text, right? Then we created this visual parser, right? Because it would render the page and understand sort of things sort of from a visual context of what it looks like for a user. So parsing that with technology. Now we created this generative parser where it actually interacts with the AI to look at sort of what are the responses coming back. And what's fascinating is when you look at these different search engines and we point our generative parser at it and do an apples to apples comparison, we see all kinds of interesting dynamics. And I'll give you one nugget. What we saw as an example is that more than half of the citations, right, in Perplexity includes things from the first page of Google. So think about that, right? So it's from to bring to the second piece of what does it mean for marketers. You need to continue to win, whether it's in ranking on page 1 as a concept or being the cited authority and source for the AI, being the original source,
The authority.
being the authority. That concept remains more relevant and more important than ever, right? And that is the next frontier of optimization, and it continues to be. And the good news is, if you're already doing well, right, and you already are an authoritative source on page 1, well, look, the models will have to continue to reward and cite and get information from the right source. So I think a lot of this evolves towards, from a marketer perspective, from an entrepreneur's perspective, what is your superpower as a company, and what do you have a right to win, right? What content are you going to put out there where it's just natural for you, right? Where you have a right to win in that area, and then you are the cited source. Whether it's Google's AI engine or Perplexity's AI engine, right? If somebody's searching around basketball shoes and how to pick the best basketball shoes, and they want to know about the latest innovation around, basketball shoes to have better performance, well, Nike is a great source for that kind of information, right? They should create content around that. They have a right to win
Yeah.
in that, right? They've probably done a lot of innovation and research on the next generation of performance in basketball shoes for each of the positions, whether you're playing a guard or a center, right? They are probably doing the leading research on that, right? As they build their products. And so they have a right to win in that. They should, they'll create content around that. And ultimately, that will be the next frontier of how you win, I think, in SEO.